What's going on?
Stories in cemeteries are always appealing. They spark a curiosity that surpasses other tales. Today, I'm bringing you 3 experiences that are sure to surprise you, especially because in all 3 cases they've never been told before, at least not publicly. Before I continue, I want to thank everyone who is part of this community. Both those who have been here from the beginning, those who joined in recent months, and everyone who has been arriving lately. The channel grows thanks to you, your comments, your likes, and most importantly, your subscriptions. Thank you also for all the contributions through PayPal and Cafecito, and thank you for the good vibes that each of you always leaves in every comment. This channel would be nothing without all of you. Alright, now let's get to today's story. The truth is, I don't know if cemeteries are good or bad places, but I can assure you that what happened to me was absolutely incredible. My sister Florencia died in 2011 and I only went for her burial. 4 more years went by before I gathered the courage and bravery to go visit her, not out of fear, nor because I was shocked. I think I didn't want to come face to face with her grave and realize that she would never be with me again. To help you understand a bit more about what happened to me, I want to tell you about her. Maybe some of this had to do with what happened. Flor had a great sensitivity to certain things since she was a child, always speaking from a paranormal perspective. She was someone who was always interested in learning about these topics, reading and learning everything she could, from esotericism, religions, energies, and so on. I'm not exactly someone who knows about this, so I couldn't say exactly everything she studied, but I can confirm one thing. When she turned 11, she started to feel and see a little further than the rest of us. We lived with my mom, and it was my sister who one afternoon confessed to us that she saw things. Shadows, people who disappeared, and lights that appeared and vanished in a second. She also saw this. She mentioned it a few years later, what she called beings of light or travelers from other worlds. I have no idea what she meant by that last part, and I would love to know. My mum listened to her but didn't take her seriously. Until a certain point when she started to believe that there was some truth in everything she said. At home, we started to occasionally hear some noises, bangs, and some things that would end up on the floor with no explanation. It was my sister who one afternoon told us that there is a man who appears frequently in the kitchen at home. That he was the former owner of the house and that he just enjoyed being in his home and that he really liked tea. From that night on, my mom started preparing and leaving a small cup of freshly made tea on the kitchen table. And we would go to sleep. Incredibly enough, there were many times when these cups showed up in the morning. Not only moved from their place, but also with the tea half gone or less, as if someone had drunk it. Both the noises and the banging stopped, and my sister told us that this man, whose name was, according to her, Juan Jose, was happy with all of us. As the years went by, she started to feel more things. For example, she could sense when something bad was going to happen in the family or nearby. The truth is that she learned to live with this condition and handled it very well, as far as I know. Few people knew about this, some never believed her, and others were the complete opposite. Anyway, she was always very reserved about this topic. I'm almost sure that even though she didn't tell me, she knew about her ending. A few days before she died, we had a conversation where she gave me a lot of advice, things that I still use to this day. It's as if she had known everything that was going to happen to me in the future. The thing is, she was separated and living alone. At 52 years old on July 7th, a stroke ended her earthly life, as she would say. It was very hard for me. My old lady had died in 2005, and now she was gone too. 4 years later, I left home, bought some flowers before entering the cemetery, and went to visit Flor. It was really hard for me to find the grave. I kind of remembered where it was, but La Chacarita Cemetery is huge, so I had to ask for help to find it. When I was in front of her, I knelt down, left the flowers and started crying. I couldn't stop. A few minutes later, sitting on the ground, I started to clean up the grave, which was very neglected, and it was at that moment that something happened. I hope everyone can have a similar experience. It fills you with hope and shows you that maybe there's something beyond when we die, and that not everything ends here. A very familiar smell came to me that immediately reminded me of Florencia, a strong smell of toast. It appeared out of nowhere. Maybe it was coming from anywhere. It's possible, I don't know, even though I looked in every direction and there was no place it could be coming from. Normally, on weekends I would go to Florencia's house to visit her, and she was always waiting for me. With freshly made toast to eat with butter, she knew I liked them and made them especially for me. I felt that same smell, but with an intensity I can't explain to you. I looked at the grave, smiled and said to Flor out loud, "Next time I'll bring the butter," and I laughed. At that exact moment to my right I felt a push which scared me quite a bit. Until I realized it was a medium-sized brown dog with white paws. I knew I would never forget it. A very common dog. The truth is, I never really had much affinity with animals, but in this case there was something different. The little dog jumped on me and started licking my whole face, my neck, my arms. He was so happy that he didn't know what else to do to show it. And the most striking thing about all this was that, unlike maybe most dogs, this one had something extremely different. An incredible smell of toast. I petted him quietly for several minutes. He gazed at me, giving me kisses. I strongly felt that this animal was there for a reason, and I was almost certain it wasn't Florencia, but maybe it was sent by her. Just like that, after about 15 minutes or so, he ran off to the other side and never came back. I stood before the grave, expressing gratitude for the message and seeking forgiveness for not visiting sooner. I never saw the little dog again, even on different occasions when I went to the cemetery. Every now and then I go to visit her, although, as Flor always used to say, in cemeteries there's nothing but an empty body, a container that's no longer useful. The soul and all its energy are already on the other side. My name is Patricia, and I'm going to tell you what happened to my friend and me. When we visited the Santa Monica Cemetery in Merlo, we weren't there to visit anyone, we just went in out of pure curiosity to see it. I never thought of cemeteries as places to be afraid of, but quite the opposite. Peace is what usually fills these places. But one afternoon, something unexpected happened to us. Maybe there's also something bad in these places. I don't know much about these things, whether they're evil entities, demons, or ghosts of people, but something extremely evil attacked us in this cemetery, and we're sure that's what happened. It was around 12 noon when we arrived. As soon as we entered, I remember we went to the area where all the crosses and graves are on the ground. I don't know what this place was like before, nor how it is now. But when we entered in 2016, it's important to point out how neglected it was. A large part of the cemetery, not just the graves themselves, but in general. There was quite a bit of dirt and everything looked very, very abandoned. At least that was our impression as we walked through this place. It was a weekday. I'm not sure if it was a Tuesday or Wednesday, but we were practically alone walking inside. There was no one, just an occasional employee, nothing else. We walked for some time, examining the names and dates on the graves, only feeling unimpressed by the cemetery's unattractiveness. After a while, we reached the section where the mausoleums are, and that's when our day changed. I can't really tell you the exact place where this happened to us because we practically ran out of there. We were walking very calmly until we heard a bang that startled us. We looked at each other and kept walking. We didn't know where it came from, so we didn't pay much attention to it. But at one point, and it was just a few minutes later, while my friend was looking through the glass of one of the doors, she screamed and came running to where I was. She assured me that someone pulled her hair really hard. As I mentioned, we were completely alone in that part. I laughed because I thought she was playing a joke on me, but at that moment I also felt something terrifying. Someone or something pressed down on me really hard, a hand on my back. At least that's what I felt. I even had the impression of feeling the fingers and how it pushed me forward in a certain way. Maybe I moved forward because of the shock, I don't know. At that moment, my friend also felt something again. Her hair had been pulled once more. We turned around, walked a few steps back and started running. We took a small detour around those mausoleums and didn't stop until we reached the entrance. I don't know what happened or why. We never disrespected any grave at any moment. And only my friend peeked through that small window, that's all. What I am sure of is that the moment I felt that hand on my back, I felt cold. I felt that something bad was with us and that it didn't want us to leave. Honestly, I don't understand why this happened. Maybe these places aren't just inhabited by the souls of the deceased, but also by evil entities, and who knows what they want. Many people who work night shifts claim to see and feel unexplainable things. In this case, you're going to hear about an experience that, at least for me, is completely new. A situation that apparently many taxi drivers have witnessed, and no one has found an explanation for it yet. In the vicinity of La Chacarita Cemetery, we find many stories and legends, some very well known, others not so much, and surely there are many more that are still unknown. Today you are going to hear the story of Miguel Angel. My name is Miguel, and while working with my taxi back in the year 2000, I experienced a chilling situation. Although I was never really in danger, or at least that's what I think. Coming face to face with this kind of situation really makes you feel helpless. At that time, I was just starting out with this job and it was really tough to learn, since back then there was no global positioning system or cell phones, so you had to learn. The streets were all memorized. After a short time, I was already pretty familiar and felt comfortable working with the car. Normally, we were with a group of cab drivers with whom we became very good friends at the Rojas and Rivadavia stop. But on Friday and Saturday nights we would meet at San Nicolas and Rivadavia to chat for a while and unwind a bit. After work we would stay here for a while having some mate, and then each of us would go home. In this group was Beto, whom we called Nurus, and among the many stories we would tell about what happened to us at work, Beto told us something and even warned us. Guys, be careful when you're around Chacarita, near the cemetery. I mean, mostly for those who still don't know about this guy from Guzman Street who appears and disappears. We stared at him, asked him why he said that, and he told us that there's a rumor he's a ghost. He even saw him. He wanders around that area and just disappears. In reality, the matter went largely unnoticed, with some likely dismissing it as a mere jest. We kept drinking, mate, and chatting for a while, and then everyone started heading back home. That night, to make a little extra money, I stayed working overtime. What I'm telling you happened in July. It was around 10:30 at night. I picked up a ride to Villaquisa. I wanted it to be the last one of the night because my kids were home alone and I wanted to get back quickly. When I dropped this person off and started heading back just a few blocks away, a man signaled me to give him a ride. Even though my intention was to go back home, I stopped the taxi because if this man was heading to my area, I could take him and at least do one more ride. The guy was dressed very properly, white shirt, jacket, black pants and a tie. He gets into the taxi and tells me where he was going. Guzman and Elcano. Up until then, nothing stood out to me. As we drove, I talked with him. The night was dreadful, cold and drizzling. I told him it was a cold and ugly night. But this man didn't answer me at all. I said 2 more things to him, and since he didn't reply, I decided to leave him alone. When we reached the Elcano barrier, we continued a few more meters along Guzman, and he asked me to stop. I told him how much it was, 1 peso and 80 cents. I'll never forget it. This man gave me 2 pesos and got out. I looked for the wallet that I had under the seat, and in that second it took me to get it out, it had disappeared. The sidewalk was empty, especially at that time. The wall of La Chacarita Cemetery is really tall, and there's no entrance in that part either. I stood there for a moment thinking, and I automatically remembered Beto and what he told us about the man on the street.
He hands me the money and exits silently. And I see what happens. In front of the taxi car. I looked at him, took out my hidden wallet, straightened the 2 peso bill, and looked at him again, but he was gone. He wasn't there anymore. The wall is about 3 meters high. The entrance gate for the funerals, there are many gates, but the closest one was about 100 meters away. If he had walked away, I would have noticed, I would have seen him. And the first thing I thought was that he probably went to pee. There began a row of old trees. The traffic light turns green for me. I look at the first tree, there was no one. I look at the second tree, there was no one. I locked all the doors and left. Though not scared, I left just in case. And that occurred midweek. On Friday, when we met at San Nicolas in Rio Bavia, I saw them again. We used to meet up around 6 to 8 guys. I told Beto he was right. He asked, "What, Tano?" The man from Guzman Street says, "What happened to you?" Yeah, I told him it happened to me 2 days ago, and it's exactly like you said. It disappeared.
Thank you for making it to the end of this video. I'd like to know what you think about these 3 stories, if something similar has happened to you, or if you'd like to go through a moment like that. I'm sending a big hug to all of you.